Hi and welcome back. In today's video class, we're going to learn the secret teaching for the Detox Challenge. So I reserve a lot of these teachings for here on the Conscious Movement community because I know it's going to be students who are interested in dedicating themselves to developing along a course. So I can give a little bit more and introduce poses to the sequence that I can't give out for just the general student who's just clicking on videos off of YouTube randomly. So anyways, you're here for that class, and we're gonna learn how the inversions now can be one of the best detoxifiers for the body. And in this class, I'm gonna introduce you to the inversions. If you haven't been practicing them already, this will be a great introduction. And if you already are, this is going to be a great reminder for and encouragement to help to open up the body even better to help take you into these inversions with ease. I hope you dig it. Don't laugh at Ollie, he got a weird haircut. Let's get started. Sit with your legs crossed. And start by adjusting your pelvis. You can even adjust the flesh of your buttocks so that the sit bones aim straight down. And as you root straight down through your sit bones, let the rib cage point straight down instead of pushing forward to give you the illusion that you're upright. So as the rib cage points straight down, the tension in the neck, shoulders will start to reveal. The forward neck posture will start to reveal. Keeping the ribs pointed straight down, let your head start to lean back as if it was against a wall without your chin tipping up. Let the shoulders release from the neck, from the front and the back, so that the shoulders get wide. And then as you breathe in, let the pelvic floor and the diaphragm move down. Feel the side and the back ribs expand. And as you exhale, feel the rib cage draw back in and down from the sides. So as you inhale, I'll show with my hands, the rib cage moves out to the side. Pelvic floor, diaphragm drop down. Feel the movement in the back of the ribs as well. And as you exhale, feel the side ribs start to hug back in and down. One more conscious breath together. Pelvic floor, diaphragm move down. Rib cage expands. And as you exhale, feel it all draw back in. Then come to lie down onto your back with room to slide your feet along the ground. And as you start with the knees bent, the feet down onto the floor, take the feet the width of the mat and let your knees knock in towards each other. As your knees knock in, feel your pelvis drop into neutral again so the sit bones point straight out towards the heels. Let the rib cage drop down into position. Notice the tension in your chest and shoulders wants to pull the rib cage up. So as you drop the rib cage back into position so it aims at the hips again, can you let the shoulders and the tension in the neck and the chest start to stretch? Let the chin drop back down like you had to do seated. Now wiggle the feet in so that they're hip socket distance apart, and then bring your right knee up. And try not to change the spine position. Without being rigid, hug your right knee towards your chest. Keep the sit bones reaching long. Stretch your left leg out along the ground and reach your right arm back. Slide your left heel in towards you. Keep the sit bones reaching out of your back as the heel slides in. Bring your right hand to your left knee. Slide your right heel out as your left arm reaches back. Do your best to maintain the pelvis, rib cage, and neck position we started with. Slide the right heel back in. Change sides. Keep the chin in. Slide the left heel back in. Change sides. Slide right heel in. And slide left heel in. Now bring both hands to your left shin, engage your core so you're stabilizing. When I say engage your core, think of hugging in on all four sides on your lumbar spine. Now lift the right leg up to a 45-degree angle. Bring your hands behind your head and then crunch up towards your knee, but without jamming from your chin. So I want you to feel that the rib cage hugs in to bring you up instead of just your neck flexing. And then change legs. Bring the right knee in as the left leg stretches out. Hug your rib cage in and down. Change sides. Keep your neck long, your chin in. Change sides. Change sides. Now bring the hands behind the head again, keeping the crunch from the front ribs. Twist towards that left knee. Change sides, starting to work the obliques. Change sides. Crunch from your right side ribs towards your left hip bone to your right ribs. Try to squeeze it in. Change sides. Feel the squeeze as you hold there. Change sides. Change sides. Come back to center. Lower your head down. Set your feet down, arms out to the side. Take the feet the width of the mat and let your knees swivel over to the right. Look to your left. Take your knees to the left. Look to your right. Come back to center. Bring your legs up into tabletop position. We're going to do one more exercise for the abdominals, one more exercise set. Keep the rib cage, hold the pelvis. Now see how far you can lower your thighs before your pelvis wants to go along for the ride, before your lumbar spine tries to lift up. And then bring your thighs back up. Hold your knees right over your hips. Now tuck your pelvis, flatten your lower back down into the ground, and see if you can curl the tailbone up towards the ceiling without doing it from the neck. Uncurl, and then from neutral, slowly lower your thighs down. Hold the abdominals in, hold your rib cage in, keep the chin in, bring the knees back up, round through your lower back, flatten it into the mat, and then curl the tailbone up. Come back to neutral. Lower your thighs slowly with control. Bring your thighs back up. Roll through your lower back and then tuck your tail straight up. Untuck. Slowly control the legs down. Bring your legs back up and tuck up. Untuck. Set your feet down onto the ground. Stretch your arms back overhead. As the arms reach back, keep your ribs in. So I could let my arms fall to the ground like so, but if I'm really gonna focus on keeping the ribs in, it's gonna reveal really how much glenohumeral flexion I have. So when we start to engage our core in the poses, it's gonna reveal the limitations that you have in your joints and how you try to compensate. Don't compensate. Now, roll yourself up towards your knees. And then if you need to, you can bring hands to the backs of the legs to roll yourself all the way up. And then sit tall up over your sit bones. Raise your arms up into the air. Ground down through your sit bones. Release down through your hip creases like you're trying to release your groins down to the ground. Take your arms forward and then control yourself down. If you're not so strong in your abs, hold the backs of your legs so you can roll down one bone at a time through your spine. Roll back down onto your head. Take your arms back, but hold your rib cage in. So you're getting a true stretch for your shoulder with the rib cage in, the chin in. Bring your arms back up. Now roll yourself up, not just by leading with the head and the neck. Feel your core turn on to bring you up. Sit up tall up over your sit bones. Arms stretch up. Bring your arms back down and roll down. Last one, stretch your arms back, keeping your rib cage in. Roll yourself up. Sit up tall up over your sit bones. Legs straight now if you can. Reach, reach, reach. And then roll back down, all the way back down onto your back for one more spinal twist before we get moving. Open your arms out to the side. Cross your right knee over your left knee. Hips go over to the right a little bit as you let your legs go over to the left. Now, often we finish with these poses to help to open the chest and the shoulders, but I want you to have this opening for the whole class. So as your thighs drop over, feel the right chest and shoulder start to open up. The shoulder bone, let it drop down towards the ground. And let your right side ribs spin towards your left knee as your shoulder opens. Bring your knees and your hips back to center. Change the cross of the legs. Take the hips over to the left a little bit and let the knees go over to the right. On your exhalation, remember the rib cage, how it wants to flare up to give you the illusion that you're deeper in the pose. So on your exhalation, move the rib cage down towards the pelvis. Feel the natural movement of the pelvic floor and the diaphragm going up as you exhale. And as you breathe in, imagine the pelvic floor releasing down, around the bottom of the rib cage releasing down, straight down towards the pelvis, towards the ankles. Let your chest and your shoulder open up. Bring your knees and your hips back to center. Hug your knees to your armpits. Let the groins release. And then keeping the feeling of the hip creases, like I had ropes across your hips, pulling them down out of your lower back. Keep that feeling as you set your left foot down onto the ground and reach onto the inside of your right knee. Take your right big toe. And then as your thigh drops down, see if you can bring your right foot parallel to the ceiling. If you're more flexible, catch the outer foot instead. Release your hip creases down again. Plug the rib cage down. Let your chin relax into position. Set your right foot down onto the ground as you take the left big toe or the left outer foot, and let the thigh bone drop down towards the ground, down out of your lower back. Hip crease goes down as you try to make the foot parallel to the ceiling. Notice any hardening of the diaphragm up. So you might notice that your body tries to open up by continually doing that push up. And when you do that push up, it actually limits the range of motion of all the joints in your body. So as you return to your core's true center, you'll feel that you have better movement for the lungs. So it's going to purify, detoxify the body naturally as the lungs move better. That's your prana pump. It's what processes and pumps fresh prana through your body. Set your left foot down and you get better range of motion. Roll over to your side and let's come into child's pose. So child's pose with knees together, arms released back. Imagine your back body like a ball, like a balloon. Balloon the skin of the ribs. The space in between your back ribs, let it open and spread. The lower back, the sacrum. And then come up onto your hands and your knees. And we're going to practice Hasta Bandha. Open up the skin on the bottom of the hands. Make a big handprint on the mat. And as you press down into the four corners of your hands, feel that through the very center of your hand and through the back of the wrist of the center. You're drawing up into the shoulder socket as you plug down. Plug into the four corners, draw up into the shoulder socket. Feel the hanging sensation from the shoulders from the neck. They're not pulled up into the neck, but you're not yanking them down either. They just hang into place. Now, maintaining that feeling, connect the rib cage to the pelvis, and then just reach your right leg back with the leg straight. Press the big toe down. Firm your leg muscle and integrate it with your core. Lower your knee down, change legs, reach your left leg back. Firm the muscles of the leg. Strong leg, integrated with the core. Bring that knee down. Now lift both knees up an inch and see if you can integrate your new core actions. Pelvis reaches, rib cage to pelvis. And then your breath. Can you breathe into the rib cage? Feel the movement of the pelvic floor, diaphragm, full expansion of the rib cage. Press down into the four corners of your hands. So the inner seam of the arm, as you start to activate that, it sends the signal to the heart to start to pump. So the work of the arms can help the heart to work better. Set your knees down and then slowly start to stretch your buttocks back towards your heels. But keep the rooting of the four corners of your hands. Keep the feeling that the shoulders are hanging out of the neck. They're not yanking up into it. And feel from your blades that they're wrapping out onto your side body and reaching towards your pinkies. Bring your shoulders back over your wrists. One more time, lift your knees up an inch. Now we're going to add the straight leg. So left knee hovers an inch, reach your right leg straight back. Integrate your core, firm the back leg, feel your breath in your rib cage. If you can't do that, just drop the left knee down. Rebend the right knee, change leg, stretch the left leg back. Can you feel the breath moving as we practice at the beginning? Feel the back leg strong and feel your pelvic, rib cage, neck connection. Now step both legs back, press the four corners of the hands. Inseam of the arm long, shoulder in the socket. Strong in your legs, hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop your left knee down. Plant your left hand underneath the top of your right shoulder. Underneath the top of your left shoulder, and then open up into side plank. Press into the four corners of the hand. Hasta Bandha, draw energy up through the center of the hand, up into the shoulder. And then hold there, step your left leg out behind your right. Bring your right hand down. Change sides, top of the hand, heel of the hand under the top of the shoulder, open up into side plank. Press down into your hand through all four corners, draw energy up from the center of the hand. Now, did you lose the connection through your rib cage? Did you start to push from the rib cage forward to try to thrust the chest open? Come back to what we were practicing in seated and on the back. And then feel that you're opening up from the back and the front evenly. You can step the leg back if you did on the other side and you haven't already. Slowly come back to the plank. Now knees down. Control from your core as you lower slowly and hover at elbow height. Pause there. Lower all the way down to the ground. As you point your toes back, inhale into low cobra. From your bra line down, press down into the ground, press the tops of the feet. Turn on your legs like the plank legs. Keep your neck long. And then feel the joints of the spine, they're moving in towards the front body and forward. Turn on your glutes. Engage your inner legs. Lower your heart back down. Now press down into your knees, draw your belly in, your ribs in. Think of your legs and your core bringing you up first. Hover yourself up. Stretch back to downward facing dog. Stretch your toes, stretch your fingers. Press into the four corners of your hands. Walk your feet to the front of your mat. Bend your knees slightly. Let your head drop down. Then slowly roll yourself up to stand. Bring your palms together. Samastiti. Open up your toes, the soles of your feet. Press down through the four corners of your feet. Let your inner thighs, your groins, spin back into neutral position. But then I want you to take your tailbone in and down towards your heels so that your pelvis is reaching straight down into your ankles, your rib cage, soften it down, and let the head drop back into position where it belongs. From the front and the back, let the shoulders hang out of the neck instead of being pulled up into it. Then release your arms down at your side. As you inhale, spread the arms out to the side, externally rotate and reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come into a flat back. Plant your hands and step back into plank position. Set the knees down. Keep your tailbone in, rib cage in as you slowly lower to elbow height. Pause there. Lower your heart down. Press the tops of the feet down. Roll into cobra. So from the bra line down, press down, reach through the toes. From the bra line up, start to draw in. Don't hinge from the neck. Now see if you can lift the heel of the hand, maintaining that. Press the hand back down, lower your heart, press your knees down, engage your core, engage your glutes, and hover up into plank. Legs straight now. Glide back to down dog. Press through the four corners of your hands and grow your arms from your armpits, from your outer shoulder blades into your hands as you stretch into down dog. Release the neck. Walk your feet to the front of your mat. As you inhale, come into a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Rotate your arms as you reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, find a flat back. Plant your hands and step back to plank. Now knees down or legs straight, your call. Lower slowly and hover right at elbow height. Lower all the way down. Inhale into cobra. Press the tops of the feet. Engage your legs. From the bra line down, stretch down, press down. From the bra line up, coil in, lift the heel of the hand. See if you can maintain the spine, neck long. Then lift the hands all the way up. And hold for 3. Stretch your hips towards your heels. Engage the buttocks. Groin spin up, but inner leg strong. 2, tailbone in. 1, lower your heart in your hands. Press up into plank. Lift from your core to come up. Stretch back into downward facing dog. Press through all four corners of your hands. Grow the arms from the outer armpits, from the shoulder blades. Zip the front ribs in. Open the back ribs with your breath. Let the neck lengthen. Now as you root down through your left big toe mound, raise your right leg up behind you. Spin the groin up, tailbone in, reach from the buttock into the heel. Bring your knee to your chest, shift into plank, round your back. As you inhale, lower your knee slowly to the ground, make a flat back. And as you exhale, engage your core, hollow, and then pull your knee up into it. Step your foot up by your right thumb. Strong in your back leg, come up onto your fingertips. So feel from your back leg and your core, you're doing the same plank action. Now lower your back knee down. Press down through your right center heel and inhale, come up, raise your arms. Exhale, bend your elbows out to the side, cactus position. Expand your chest without closing the back off. Inhale your arms back up. Now look up. Ooh, easy for me to say. Look up, join the palms together if your balance is good. Bring your hands back down. Lift your back leg. Now plant your left hand flat on the ground and twist, take your right arm up. Engage your right hip. And as you press into the four corners of your left hand, feel that your ribs can turn like we practiced at the beginning. On your back, you can feel that the ribs could turn as the shoulder releases into position. Bring your right hand down, step into plank position, take a vinyasa, or you can just stretch right back into down dog, your call. Reach to the four corners of the hands as you make your way back to dog. Now you might want to bring your right foot a little bit closer for this one. Press down through your right big toe mound as you raise your left leg up. So feel stable. You can push the floor down. Your rib cage can stay in as you're stretching your shoulders like we learned on the back. Now make the back leg strong. Firm the buttock to the heel. Turn on that leg like plank. Reach through the back foot. Shift into plank pose. Pull your knee up to your chest. Lower your knee slowly. Find neutral. And then tuck your buttock, hollow your belly, hollow the front ribs, and then pull the knee up into that space. Lift. Step your foot up by your thumb. Come up onto your fingertips. Turn on your back leg. Push through the back of your foot. Reach through it. Then set your back knee down onto the ground. Inhale to come up. Raise your arms, tailbone in, rib cage in, bend your elbows out to the side. Pretend like you're pulling the elbows down. Inhale your arms back up. If your balance is good, look up by lifting from the dorsal spine. Bring your hands back down onto the ground. From your fingertips, lift your back knee. Now plant your right hand, just like we planted for plank, side plank that is, and now turn from your rib cage instead of torquing from somewhere else in your spine. See if you can get the rib cage to turn. Keep the rib cage into the pelvis as you take your top arm up. So it's not wrong to do some extension while you're also twisting. However, we want to be able to twist from a neutral position as well. So right through neutral so that the back of your skull and your tail are in the same line. Feel your left outer hip turn on to stabilize you, and you can even engage it more to get more juice to the spine. Bring your hand down, step back, take a vinyasa, or just hold. Make your way back into down dog. From down dog, look in between your hands, step or float up to the front. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, Samastiti. Step your right foot back about 4 feet and parallel your feet. Spread your arms out to the side. Hold for 5 breaths. So as we hold here in Utthita Hasta Padasana, Open up your feet, root down through the four corners of your feet. Let the tailbone come in, the rib cage come in. So the rib cage moves down, back, and in, and then the head has to find its position. So we turn on the deep neck flexors to hold the neck in that position. It's not used to it, those muscles have to activate. And the tight muscles in the front of the neck get to stretch. The scalenes get to release. Now angle your left leg in slightly, turn your right leg out. And as you press down through your right big toe mound, turn your thigh so that your knee can track with your second, third toe as you bend your knee. If it feels like you're tight and you're too much on a tight rope, then just wiggle your right foot to the right some. Tailbone in, rib cage into position. And then be mindful of the flow of your breath. The pelvic floor, rib cage move down as you breathe in. Feel the expansion through the side and back ribs. Extended side angle. Tip your pelvis and lean yourself out over your knee. Bring your forearm to your thigh or your hand onto a block. Take your left arm all the way over. Feel your back leg strong like the plank leg while you integrate the pelvis and the rib cage. Feel grounded, feel strong and mobile. Come back up to warrior two. Straighten your leg, turn your toes in so the feet are parallel again. Now angle your right thigh in slightly, turn your left leg all the way out. Press down through the left big toe mound, turn the left thigh so that as you go to bend the knee tracks with the second, third toe. Don't let your tail flip out. Tailbone in. Exhale the rib cage into position. And then feel the spread and stretch through the sides of the neck, back of the neck, through the shoulders, through the fingers. The tight muscles that run from the front of your neck down underneath your collarbones, those get to soften and release so that your deeper neck flexors can turn on and support your neck. Feel your prana pump, your diaphragm moving to move fresh prana, life force energy through your body. Letting go of what you don't need to hold. Tip from your pelvis now. And bring your forearm onto your thigh or hand onto the block. Right arm over. Reach through your back leg. Push through your back foot. And turn on the back leg like the plank leg. Make sure that the rib cage didn't follow your top arm. Remember we were doing that thing on our back, stretching the arms back without the rib cage? It's the same thing here, but turn on your side. There's an added degree of neurological confusion so that you get to train the movement even better. Press into your feet. Come back up into warrior two. Circle your hands to the mat. Step back, vinyasa, or just go straight back into down dog. Step your right foot up to your right thumb. Come up into warrior one. Open up into warrior two. Straighten your right leg. Press down through the inner foot as you turn the thigh out. Tip your pelvis out over your thigh. Come into triangle pose. The hand plants down. Now instead of back bending the spine, hold the spine long and neutral. Then take the right side ribs and turn the rib cage to open you up. Don't back bend the spine, spin the rib cage to get the movement upward. So I like to use the left hand. Smooth the left hand through the back and side ribs to get the rotation, but don't lose the length. Back bending will lose the length. Keep the length from the back of your skull to your tail. Press through your right inner foot. Let the inner leg lengthen. Bring your top hand to your hip, bend your knee. Now hold here in preparation for half moon, or slide the hand a foot in front of the foot as you wiggle the back foot in and step up to balance. Press the right inner foot down. Feel the inner leg lengthen. Engage the right outer hip, hug it into the midline without hardening the groin. Same actions in triangle. Find your length, the connection between the sacrum and the back of the skull. Then let the rib cage turn. Back leg strong like we practiced in three-legged dog. Bend your right knee. Step back, triangle pose. Press the inner foot, feel the inner leg line. Bring your left hand down. Spin your back heel up as you bend your right knee. Then step back, vinyasa, or just go right back to down dog. So just like waking up the inseam of the arm helps to get the heart moving, waking up the inseam of the leg helps with the pelvis. Step your left foot up by your left thumb. Warrior one, inhale, come up. Open up to your side, warrior two. Straighten your left leg, push down through your left inner foot, and let the thigh turn. Then tip from your pelvis out over your thigh, put your hand down onto the block or the floor. Inner foot roots, turn the thigh. Once you get your hand rooted, feel your length. So from your sacrum to the back of your skull, lengthen. And as the inner leg stretches, the inner foot grounds, now start to turn the rib cage. You can even use your right hand. Turn the side ribs up towards the ceiling. But as you do that, notice the tendency to push the spine forward or to push the rib cage forward, soften the rib cage in, and turn. This feels like a whole different pose now. Can you feel it? Push the inner foot. Let the thigh turn as the inseam lengthens. Now bend your knee. Scoot your back foot in. You can hold here, or with the hand or foot in front of the foot, step up. Feel the length, then let the ribs turn. Stay connected to the rib cage and the core. Back leg strong like three-legged dog. Bend your knee, slide back into triangle. Bring your hand down, spin your back heel up. Step back into down dog or take a vinyasa. Bend your knees, look in between your hands, step or float to the front. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up, raise your arm. Now, with your arms up, root into your feet. Let your groins, your inner thighs, draw back, and then move your tailbone in, and see if from the dorsal spine you can move in and up towards your hands. Start to look up because the dorsal spine is moving in so much, and then press your palms together. Unhook the thumbs, go straight up as you stretch down through the inner feet. Balance effort with ease. Then bring your arms down to your side. So the tendency in that pose is going to be to thrust at the TL junction forward to get all the movement from right here. And I'm trying to move it up. I'm doing my best, although this really wants to move for me. So now we're going to try a very advanced pose, and we're just going to see how it goes. Step your right foot back about 4 feet. Spread your arms out to the side. So from Virabhadrasana A or 1, we're going to go into Virabhadrasana 3. Angle your left leg in 45 degrees as you turn your right thigh out. Wiggle the right foot to the right some. So make sure that back foot and thigh are turned in enough. Now externally rotate your arms. Reach up, and we're going to try to do the same thing that we did in mountain. So the left inner thigh draws back, it's the mountain leg. Then the tail moves in, and that should give you energy to send up the spine to look up and join the palms. Keep that as you bend your right knee. Now lean out over your right leg. Many students will just stay here, working on stretching the arms, keeping the core engaged, and the back leg action for mountain. Some will be able to step up and balance. Rebend the knee if you're balancing and step back, warrior 1. Straighten your leg, turn to center, arms stay up. Bring your arms straight out at the side. Place your hands on your hips to recover. Now turn the legs to the left. So the back foot angles in, the left leg turns out, and you can wiggle the left foot to the left some. Make sure your back foot's turned in more than halfway. The inner thigh releases back, then tailbone goes in. It's got to be inner thigh first, otherwise you'll get tucked under. So the inner thigh first, then the tail in, rib cage, raise the arms, look up, bend the knee. Can you still breathe into your back ribs as you're doing this? Lean out over the knee, hold there, or step up. Rebend your knee, step back, straighten your legs, parallel the feet, then bring your arms down. Hands to your hips, roll your shoulders and your elbows back. It's kind of intense, and fold forward. Then set your fingertips down. As you inhale, come into a flat back. See if you can find the flat back on your fingertips. Use a block if you need to. And this might be plenty of stretch here. If you want to add the spinal flexion, you can walk the hands back and take the whole spine forward and down evenly. So this is a great way to enhance circulation into the respiratory diaphragm, into the lungs. When we go upside down, it changes the pressure from the abdominals to the thoracic region, so that increased pressure can help with the circulation. When I was like newer to yoga, I used to think that we used to say that it changes the blood flow, or it reverses the blood flow, and that's not really true. That doesn't happen, but but we know that the pressures, the fluid pressures are changed, so that helps to stimulate. So inversions are one of the best ways to cleanse and detoxify in that sense because of the increased circulation. Inhale into a flat back. Bend your right knee and lunge to the right. See if you can maintain the opening in the back of your rib cage. Change over to the left. Come back to center. Hands to your hips. Reach to your feet and come up. Turn your left leg out and step up to the top of your mat. Stand in mountain pose. Now step your left foot back about 3.5 feet. As you inhale, raise your left arm. Inner thigh back, tailbone in like we practiced in mountain. Then reach as far forward as you can and twist. Set your left hand down, take your right arm up. Now let's practice the same twisting actions. Sacrum and back of the skull on the same line. Stretch those two away from each other. Push your right inner foot. And now, as you hold the length, or continue to grow the length, turn your left side ribs and take your right arm up. Press the right inner foot. Feel the inner leg long. Breathe from the sacrum to the back of the skull and let the ribs turn. Press through your feet and like a windmill, come up and around for the other side. If you're using the block, take it with you. Inner thigh back, tail in, ribs in. Now reach as far forward as you can, lengthen, lengthen, and then twist. Once you get the hand down, do another length check, sacrum and back of the skull, rib cage in, and then spin the rib cage. Root the left inner foot, feel the inner leg tall. Breathe the length from the sacrum to the back of the skull. As you press that left inner foot, turn the ribs. Let the right shoulder release out of the neck. Now press into your feet, come up and around, back up to the front. And step your back leg forward. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale into a flat back. Now squat down from Malasana or crow pose. If you're practicing crow, hook your knees up by your armpits and then lean into your chaturanga arms. Otherwise, practice opening up the back of the spine and the back ribs in Malasana. When you can't hold the crow anymore, you can hop back into chaturanga or step back for a vinyasa. Let's make our way back to downward dog now. Then step your left foot up in between your hands. Parallel your feet up on your fingertips. Plant your left hand flat onto the ground, or if you have to round to get the hand down, use a block. And then twist, take your right arm up. Sacrum back of the skull. Change, put the right hand down, Take your left arm up. Bring your left hand down, press into your feet and come up to stand. One more variation of Prasarita. Clasp your hands behind your back and open up your shoulders without your ribs pushing forward. Now, if that's difficult to do, take a strap or a t-shirt or something, whatever you have, so that you can get a little bit of space in between your hands, so that the rib cage can stay in its neutral position, the tailbone can stay in, but you can start to open up this tension here in the front of the shoulder where we all get so tight. Then tip from your pelvis and start to go forward. And see if your arms can start to stretch up and overhead. Now try to hold the arms in that position without the arms coming any closer to your buttock. Bend the knees slightly, press through your feet, and then come up to stand. Try to hold the arms in the extension, and then parachute the hands towards the buttock. Again, tip from your pelvis and lean. Rib cage stays in as you stretch the shoulder stuff. See if you can go maybe an inch or two further this time. Micro bend your knees, press through your feet, reach through the feet as you come up. Don't let the hands come closer to the butt. Hold that. And then parachute the hands down. Last one. Without straining your neck or your shoulders, tip from your pelvis, lean into the stretch. See if the arms can go a little bit further, keeping your ribs in. Don't cheat from the ribs. Take a nice smooth breath there. Then keep the arms that far away from the buttock as you come all the way back up. And lower the hands to the butt. Turn your left leg out, step up to the top of your mat. Sit your hips back like you're sitting into a chair. Cross your left leg up and over your right. Cross your left elbow under. And eagle pose. Hold the single cross, or if you have the shoulder flexibility to, take the double cross where the hands bind. Uncross your arms and your legs. Change sides. Sit back like you're in a chair. Cross your right leg up and over your left. Cross your right arm under. Breathe into the back rib. Let the shoulder widen away from the neck. Feel the space with your breath. This is a great one to start to open up where you're tight in the back middle ribs. Uncross your arms and your legs, stand in mountain. Now keeping your ribs aimed straight down to your pelvis, your thighs in neutral with your tail in. Bring your hands behind your head, interlock the hands and turn the elbows forward. Now you can see when I draw myself into that position, it reveals where my neck is tight. So I'm going to try to lean my head back into position so it comes back over my pelvis. And then that reveals the tension in the shoulder, armpit, neck region that needs to be lengthened for Shirshasana. So now release that, and we're going to come into a little stretch before we go into Shirshasana that can help. So there's two different ways to do this. You can do this from a kneeling position with a block in your back, or you can just lie down with like a pillow or blanket. So I'm going to show the pillow or blanket version first, where you just, with feet on the floor and knees bent, will lie back like so and stretch the armpit, chest, without the TL junction being the primary back bender. You can also do it from a kneeling position with the block in your back, so I'll let you choose. If it's too much on your knees, just practice like so. And let me show the second variation. This one's tricky because you got to get the block right in the sweet spot. That's a little too close. Still a little too close. Like Goldilocks now. This is just too hard. It's not gonna, can't sleep in this bed. It's not gonna work. And then you can change the arm position. You can grab the elbows and stretch that way too. This is freaking intense. Try changing the clasp. All right. And then here we go, the peak pose for the day, the grand finale, the headstand. So I'm going to show you the preparation and the technique to go up so you can practice with yourself. I'm pretty close to a wall, but I would recommend going even closer so that if you tip over, you can tap with your toes to get to the wall. But we're going to set up with the head down. If you have a history of any cervical compression or neck issues, this is not the pose for you. You're just going to practice this sucker. And in this one, you get a lot of the benefits of being inverted, and you're working on strengthening the shoulders and getting the mobility there. So this is a great one to practice. So hold here for a minute if you got the neck situation. Otherwise, you'll lower the crown of the head. And you're going to see if you can stretch the whole forearm down and keep the elbows in shoulder distance apart. Then as you reach down through the forearms, lift the hips. Legs strong like in plank. And you can see if you can walk in, opening up the back rib cage without falling into your neck. So you're tall as you can be through your neck, as tall as you can be through your spine. And then you're going to see if you can rock forward so you can bring your heels to your buttock and then bring the knees up. And that's why the wall comes in handy. If the buttocks goes too far, you bounce off the wall. If the legs go too far back, you can tap the toes to the wall. And then once you feel steady from there, you'll take the legs straight up. Inner thighs and tailbone. Lift the tailbone up to the feet. Get as light as you can through the neck. Reach through your forearms. Then control the legs back down. Go in reverse. And take child's pose. Now, if you felt like, oh, there was a point where I felt like there was a little too much pressure in my neck, that's a sign that you've been in it too long. You gotta come back down. You shouldn't feel like you're sinking into the neck. It should feel like your muscles in your arms are strong enough to keep the pressure out of the neck. All right, now inversion number 2. Some of you guys have done the shoulder stand, and that's fine. If you're a shoulder stander, you can practice that. But I'm going to show supported bridge, which is the most basic of the Sarvangasana variations. And this is the intro. So this is what I teach beginners to inversions until they can practice Dandasana with completely straight legs and an erect spine. Then they can start to learn shoulder stand variations. But we're going to practice bridge pose and with support, work on holding the legs in so the knees point straight ahead, the ribs in, and then you're going to see if you can open up the shoulder like we practiced, independent of the rib cage. So for many, this is all connected. When you try to roll the shoulders open, all this pushes. So can you keep the rib cage in position as you open up the side chest and shoulder? And you can grab the sides of the sticky mat and practice that. Or if your shoulders are tight, go wider, pretend like you're grabbing the sticky mat. So you're expressing the front of the shoulder and armpit chest without thrusting the rib cage to the ceiling. And that's a very important action that you're going to need to be able to do shoulder stand. Now, for those of you who are practicing shoulder stand or some phase of it, you should be able to hold this perfectly straight legs, long spine. Your butt shouldn't have to lift up at all. You shouldn't be shaking at all. If that's going really well, then you can practice feet to a wall behind you. And if that's going really well, then you can practice going all the way up. So I'll show the preparation, feet to the wall pose. The neck is long. Without cranking from the neck, I lift the hips up and take the feet over. Should still feel like I have my cervical curve. The neck is lengthened, and then over time, the feet can start to work up the wall and the hands can come to the back. But if you feel like you're running out of fabric or space in your back body and in your neck, then you just hold where you are and breathe. Again, with the cervical compression issues, this one's not for you. You can work on bridge and then holding legs up. If you're hanging out in the supported bridge pose, come back down. If you're in the shoulder stand, some phase of it, come down. And then hug your right knee to your chest as you stretch your left leg out along the ground. A lot of twisting for today's detoxing class. Open your arm out to the side and take your knee over onto a block or a foam roller. How good does supine twisting feel? It's the best. Come back to center, change sides. We should just have a class of like 40 minutes of supine twists. That'd be the jam. Bring it back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. Take happy baby. And roll yourself up to seated. So from seated, with your legs stretched out in front of you, we're going to take Ardha Matsyendrasana now. So bring your right heel to the outside of your left knee, and then your left heel to the outside of your right hip. Hug your knee in as you sit tall. Find the space from your back of your skull to your sacrum. Then wrap your left arm around your knee and twist to your right. Release, come back to center. Change the cross of your legs. Hug your left knee in and find the space from the back of your skull to your sacrum. Wrap your arm around and twist. Release that, come back to center, and do your best to cross your left knee right over top of your right knee. If you need to sit on a blanket or a cushion to make that happen, that's understandable. Then take your right hand behind your back from under and your left arm from above for Gomukhasana. Now remember, as we're going to open up the shoulders and the chest, don't do it by pushing your rib cage. See if you can find neutral with your rib cage and then start to bring your head on top. Let the right shoulder hang away from the neck and start to open up, independent of the rib cage. You're letting the right shoulder drop back in space without hardening and pushing from your ribs. So when you do that, when you let, again, same idea from the beginning of class, when you let the ribs drop back into neutral, you're going to get the best range of motion for your shoulder joint situation, for your neck, but it also reveals where we compensate. Release that and change the cross of your legs. Left arm from below, right arm from above. Release that. And for your final stretch, stretch your legs out. Bend your right knee off to the side like a tree pose leg. Turn to face your left leg. Inhale to sit tall. Exhale, start to lean out over your leg. You can stay here, or you can catch your foot and fold all the way forward. Come back up. Change sides. Sit up tall. Tip forward. Keeping your connection from ribcage to pelvis so you're not overly extending from any of the joints of the spine. And as the sit bones press down into the ground, keep the intention of the spine releasing into its length. You can hold there or catch your foot. Now from here, bring your right heel in and place your right ankle into the divot between your left ankle and your heel, or if that's too gnarly on your ankles or your knees, just do simple cross legs. You can sit up on a lift if needed, sit up straight and tall. So one of the reasons why we practice the physical poses is to release the charge, the energetic charge of emotions that are blocking us from being present, and to help to purify and detoxify, as well as cleanse the energy channels in the body. So as you sit tall here with your eyes closed, feel how much more in tune you are with that. The natural cleansing that is inherent in just being able to move the body freely without restriction. And as you become more practiced at this, you feel more clear to sit for meditation. Bring your focus to your breath. Practice watching the breath in and out through the nose. So this is one of the most basic breath techniques, just to practice breath observation. It's what a beginner student would start with, but it's also a very advanced practice. To truly master the breath observation could take several lifetimes. Now bring your palms together. Thank you. Namaste. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me for this class. I hope that you found the work that we did helpful. If it was your first time, let me know. If it wasn't, but you feel like you got better into the inversions by being able to separate the movement from the rib cage and the shoulder or the pelvis, etc., let me know. All right, thanks so much if you did the detox challenge with me, thanks for sticking with it, and thanks for doing this bonus course as well. I'll see you next time.